have the roll call, please?
Here.
Here. Day.
Here.
Mr. Jenkins. Present. Mr. Lynn.
Present.
Ms. Lynch. Ms. McCullough. Mr. Pearson. Present. Mr. Smith. Here. Mr. Thibodeau.
Here.
Have four, Mr. President.
No, he was just...
Thank you. This time, I would like to ask Mr. Jenkins to lead us in the prayer, and right after that, Mr. Dustin Rockwell with Troop 5 will lead us in the pledge.
Actually, Mr. President, he was going to do both the pledge and the prayer.
Well, let him do it. I'll come forward to the microphone and do it, Dustin. Is he here? There you go.
Would you please bow your heads? Dear Lord, thank you for this day and for this opportunity and for all the Boy Scouts of the United States to be honored today, and just a really good day. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, does anyone have any agenda additions? All right. So, now I'll entertain a motion to adopt the minutes of the regular meeting held on February 4th. Moved by Commissioner Pearson, seconded by Commissioner Epperson. Is there any discussion? If not, please vote. Very good. Special resolution. We have a resolution recognizing the Boy Scouts of America. If you would read it, Mr. Spears, or do you want to read it, Sam?
No, we're just going to have the clerk to read it. You know,
Okay.
presentation to Mr.
Let's stand, please.
Mr. President, I'd ask that you join the Dixon copies.
We have a resolution honoring the Boy Scouts of America on the occasion of their 100th anniversary. Whereas the Caddo Parish Commission is always desirous of acknowledging and recognizing those venerable organizations and institutions which have made immeasurable contributions to the moral and social heritage of this country, and particularly when those entities serve the youth of this nation. And whereas the Boy Scouts of America, incorporated on February 8, 1910, is observing its 100th anniversary of providing to young men a wholesome and enjoyable program in which they develop invaluable life skills, learn to make ethical choices, and grow into responsible and productive adults. And whereas the local Norwella Council of the Boy Scouts also is celebrating 87 years of enriching the lives of boys and shaping their growth into honorable manhood, having served that role for more than 500,000 youth in northwest Louisiana. It currently serves 3,500 youth in units chartered by more than 130 churches, schools, and civic organizations throughout the 9 parishes of Norwella Council. And whereas the Norwella Scouts serve their communities through such efforts as Good Turn Day, in which they collect food and clothing for the food bank and for Goodwill Industries, they heighten their scouting experience through troop activities and through the camping program held at Garland Scout Ranch in DeSoto Parish. The Norwella Council is prideful of the fact that 3,000 area young men have achieved Eagle Scout rank, including the 34 members of the 2010 Eagle Scout class who have completed more than 3,000 hours of community service. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Caddo Parish Commission, this 18th day of February, that it does hereby congratulate and commend the Boy Scouts of America on the occasion of Scouting's 100th anniversary. Be it further resolved that the Commission does extend much appreciation to the Norwella Council Executive Board, Scout Executive Bobby Madison, and all the Scout troops and members for continuing to exemplify the highest and noblest traits and values. And it prays that their aspirations and energies will continue to be focused on ideas and activities that reflect good citizenship and an innate sense of caring and concern for others.
So moved.
Okay. Without exception. Very good.
Thank you very much. On behalf of Norwella Council, the Executive Board, the professional staff, and myself, we appreciate this recognition. I want to express my gratitude to Commissioner Jenkins for sponsoring this, and to each and all of you for your support of Scouting. Scouting in Norwella Council is strong, and it's going to get stronger. It's a good program, and it is something that we work very hard and diligently every day to bring to all of the youth of our parish, as well as our whole council. And we appreciate the financial assistance that this commission has given us in our outreach efforts, and we will put those dollars to great use in bringing this program to the youth of our council. Thank you very much. We appreciate your support.
Next, we have communiques and reports. Oh, I'm sorry, somebody, Mr. Thibodeau?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that during my 10 years as Boy Scout, they celebrated their 50th anniversary.
I don't believe I'd have told that.
I made it to the Jamboree on the 75th anniversary.
But I also wanted to say that it was one of the best things I did as a young person, and I'd like to really see us continue to promote it and get more kids involved. It's a wonderful, outstanding organization.
Thank you. Commissioner Lynn?
That was it. I interrupted, I guess, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. I didn't see a patience in there.
Should have been one just for you.
Just wait.
Certainly want to congratulate you all on this milestone. I've liked a few Boy Scouts in my life, younger life, and grown ones too now, but certainly the work that you all are doing, particularly in the minority community, to be commended, and whatever support that we can continue to give you all, we want to do that, and it's our honor to do it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, Mr. Wilson.
So there's no report today.
Very good, thank you. I like that. Next, Mr. Spears.
You have a letter from Jimmy Kugion telling you that he's resigning from the Board of Fire District 6. You also have a letter from Communications District Number 1, that's the 911 Board, advising of the term expiration of Archer Frierson, who is the Sheriff's appointee. And they're also requesting the replacement of Marty Woolridge, who has resigned from the Board.
Thank you, Mr. Spears. Next, we have visitors. We have Mr. Michael Delaney from General Motors. Is he here today? Did he make it? I guess he made it. If he does, we'll try to accommodate him.
What information, Mr. President?
Yes.
I'm not sure. We got to get my thing fixed over here, but at our next work session, I'll give a report from the Justice and Public Safety Committee retreat that I attended in San Antonio. I'll give a report on it at our next.
Give it now if you'd like.
No, I have some data. I'll put it together for everybody.
Very good. Commissioner Cox, ready for me to do that thing? Yeah, go ahead. Sure. David's got a thing he wants to do.
Yeah, he's anxious.
I need to be careful.
That's the music.
Yeah. Bad drums.
Okay, we have a little presentation here today for a special person. And at this time, I'd like to ask Mr. Carl Pearson to come forward, please.
What'd you do?
I was scared when he said they would do a thing.
Mr. Pearson, Coach.
What?
Next week, we swear in a new president for the state, and we are so lucky to have our gentleman, our past president, our confidant, you, to be sworn in. We'd like to present this to you. It says, presented to Carl Pearson. For your work in Caddo Parish and state government, we honor you today, February 18th, 2010, for being the new president of the Louisiana Police Jury Association. In a tradition of Don H. you are the second Caddo representative to hold this office. The Parish of Caddo is proud to stand with you and honored to call you Mr. President, 2010 Louisiana Police Jury Association. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Never known to be a man of few words. Any commissioners like to comment on the presentation? Mr. Wilson, please.
Yes, Commissioners, I just, oversight on my part. Today's Matt Pepper's last day with us. Just wanted to recognize him and thank him for launching us on the path to excellence in the operation of animal services, and wish him the very best in his new career endeavors.
Mr. Lynn?
Matthew Pepper actually returned my phone call this morning about an issue I had with an animal, which I was surprised. I figured he would already have his bag packed and sitting in his automobile, and I'm surprised he told me he was going to be here today, so he's following through to the end. Thank you.
Anyone else? I have told Mr. Pepper, I had the opportunity to see him the other night, and express that my appreciation and gratitude to him and the work he's done in the condition and shape that he leaves animal and mosquito control services in. When you get somebody good, I use the analogy with him. I said, I guess it's kind of like when they went to Derek Dooley over at Texas. Do you want to coach Tennessee? And he just said no. So I understand what he's doing and why he's doing it, and I wish him and his family all the best, and I'm grateful for the time that we had with him. All right, Mr. Epperson.
I just have a request of the administration relative to the cost of living and merit increases. May pass that down to the administration. Also pass that down to the clerk for filing.
All right. Okay, next we have citizens' comments. I have some cards here. Anyone else who hadn't filled out a card who would like to address this commission on any matter relating to business germane to the duties of the commission, fill out a card, give it to the clerk or the administrator. You can come, please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. First I have Mr. Bill Handorf.
President yesterday, Commissioners, nice to see you again. My name is Bill Handorf. I'm the Executive Director of the Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse of Northwest Louisiana. I promised to be brief. I was here a couple of weeks ago. I'd like to reiterate what I said then. I would like to state that the Council is a 501c3 private nonprofit corporation that has been serving the residents of Shreveport and Bossier for the past 51 continuous years. Our mission is to provide treatment services to the residents of Louisiana suffering from an addiction to alcohol and or other drugs, and we do that without regard to age, race, or social status. In fact, about 80% of our clients are either indigent or many are homeless. One of our programs is in serious jeopardy as a result of an almost 30% cut in funding, which is more than it was last time I was here a couple of weeks ago. That program is called STEPS Detox. The Council has operated STEPS for the past 14 years. It's located in the Buckhalter Recovery Center, which is the old Buckhalter Hotel at 526 Crockett. It's licensed by the state. STEPS is partially funded by DHH, United Way, and 2 ESG grants. STEPS is the only resource in this area for people who have no resources and desperately want to get into a program of recovery. It's important that you know that in the past 14 years, we have admitted over 11,000 admissions to STEPS. It is a truly vital program for our community. As I just mentioned, it's in jeopardy due to the recent mid-year budget reductions of almost 30%. The 2010 appropriation request that you have in front of you is for consideration of a request for $33,000. That amount would reinstate a portion of the state's reductions, and in a 12-month period of time would help fund detox services for well over 100 men and women. So on behalf of our agency, our board of directors and our clients in need, we ask for your help. I'd be happy to entertain any questions you might have.
Okay, well, we'll have a public hearing. Kind of got a little ahead of myself. We're going to have a public hearing on this, at which time, if any commissioners have questions for you, they'll be able to ask them. And since you've had your time, I would like for you to go down the record as saying you are speaking in support of this.
Yes, sir.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Mr. Jim Adams.
Jim Adams, 1015 Bridal Wreath Trail in Shreveport, 71118. I'm the Assistant Administrator of the Northwest Louisiana War Veterans Home on Peak Parkway in Bossier City. The Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Louisiana Department of Veterans Affairs, Mr. Lane Carson, wanted to be here in person to address the Commission, but he wasn't able to make the meeting, so he asked me to read the statement to the Commission in lieu of that visit. Dear members of the Caddo Parish Commission, as Secretary of the Louisiana Department of Veterans Affairs, I am responding to the concerns of some local residents as well as some recent media coverage in your area regarding a new service delivery system at our veterans' homes. First and foremost, please note that the new service delivery plan LDVA is implementing at its veterans' homes does not involve cuts in services to our resident veterans. This new plan simply involves the redelivery of the way those services are provided. To provide you with some context, here is a summary of how and why LDVA developed this new service delivery plan. Because of the state's impending budget deficit, LDVA committed to identifying areas for greater efficiency and effectiveness within LDVA war veterans' homes. Research shows that approximately two-thirds of all veterans' homes across the country have contract physicians and pharmacists. LDVA has a 5-year successful history with contract physicians at its Southwest Louisiana Veterans Home in Jennings. For many years, 2 of LDVA veterans' homes, Jackson, 28 years, and Monroe, 14 years, have accessed prescription medications from the VA at virtually no cost to LDVA or our residents. My staff and I have met with concerned residents and their families at the Bossier City facility in January 2010. They had 3 main concerns, 2 of which have been met. First, LDVA agreed to retain the full-time chief medical director at the Bossier City location to care for those local residents and also to provide quality control for the contract physicians at the other LDVA homes. Second, LDVA addressed their concerns regarding nurse practitioners. The decision was made upon recommendation by the chief medical director to retain a registered nurse rather than a nurse practitioner. It was determined that this would not negatively impact the care to resident veterans and would satisfy the concerns providing physician support services. The third issue raised in Bossier City is in regards to pharmacy services. In the new LDVA plan, 80% of prescription medications are provided by VA at no charge to resident veterans. LDVA determined it is not cost justified to continue to employ full-time pharmacists at all 5 locations when all but 20% of prescription needs are met at no charge through VA. Therefore, LDVA elected to have one centralized pharmacy located at the Southeast Louisiana Veterans Home in Reserve to handle the 20% prescription needs. LDVA has contracted with a pharmacy consultant who will oversee and guarantee security and delivery of medications. The pharmacy consultant is supported by medication specialists and administrative support in all 5 homes. Cost savings realized through the centralized pharmacy will be passed on directly to resident veterans. LDVA staff is researching ways to reduce or eliminate copays for medications and medical care where copays apply. Some potential savings realized through the new plan are intended to be used to offer competitive wages in line with hospitals and other similar facilities in the area for certified nursing assistants, CNAs, as LDVA wages are below market rate. These CNAs are responsible for the majority of the direct and daily care given to our resident veterans. In closing, due to the state deficit and the need to be more efficient and effective, LDVA, with approval from the Streamlining Commission and the Civil Service Commission, has developed a plan that is based on successes realized in other states where similar delivery systems are used and the successes seen at our own LDVA facilities. I feel it is prudent and good management to extend this service delivery system throughout all of our veterans facilities. Please note that I have and will continue to keep an open dialogue with concerned residents and their families to ensure a smooth transition through the process. As a combat disabled Vietnam veteran, I can assure you that I would never do anything to jeopardize the quality of care for our veterans. And that's signed by, sincerely, Lane A. Carson, Secretary of the Louisiana Department of Veterans Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. I have one question for you, Secretary Carson. I spoke with him today. I know he spoke with Commissioner Epperson. He had expressed to me his intention to come before us in 2 weeks at our next meeting to offer explanation and maybe some remedy to some of the concerns. And as such, it asked us to hold off on this resolution today. Is that still his intention?
That was his intention. If we were able to table it and postpone it, then he would prefer to come and present his case in person.
Okay, but I want to ask you, postpone it to what? Is there going to be anything different that he's going to offer? Are you going to change the way that...
I'm not aware of anything different, sir. This is the statement that he provided.
Very good. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address the commission on matters other than zoning? Very good. Thank you. Now we have our public hearing on ordinances, please.
Yes, sir. Ordinance 4963, amend your health tax fund budget to accept the donation for animal services in the amount of $2,500.
Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this ordinance? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition? Next item, please.
Ordinance 4964, amend your Public Works Fund budget to accept FEMA grant proceeds in the amount of $1,068,000.
Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this ordinance? Anyone in opposition? Continue, please.
Ordinance 4965, amend your Riverboat Fund budget to provide $32,000 for the Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse.
Anyone here to speak in favor of this ordinance? Anyone in opposition? Next item.
Ordinance 4966 amends the Juvenile Justice Fund budget for a probation program titled Facts of Life.
Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this ordinance? Anyone in opposition? Very good. Please continue.
All right, that's the end of the public hearing. We'll present those very same ordinances back to you for final consideration. All right, the first one being ordinance 4963, accepts a donation for animal services.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Lynch, pardon me, and seconded by Commissioner Baker. Any discussion on the motion? Please vote.
Just a moment, the system seems to be jammed. Have you finished, Commissioner Epperson, with casting the motion in seconds?
Yes, ma'am. Lynch, Baker.
Okay.
That passes. Next item, please.
Ordinance 4964 amends your Public Works Fund budget to accept FEMA proceeds.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Lynch, seconded by Commissioner Dominic. Is there any discussion on that motion? Okay, please vote. That passes. Next item.
Yes, sir. Ordinance 4965 amends your Riverboat Fund for the Council on Alcoholism, Drug Abuse, $32,000.
So moved.
Second. Been moved by Commissioner Lynn, seconded by Commissioner Cox. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay. Please vote. It passes. Next item, please.
Ordinance 4966 provides the Facts of Life program at the Juvenile Justice Center.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Lynn, seconded by Commissioner Baker. Is there any discussion on this motion? Okay, no discussion. Please vote. That passes. Next, we have ordinances for introduction by title, please.
Yes, sir. Ordinance 4967 amends your Code of Ordinances by adding Article 5, Commercial Vehicle Enforcement, provides for establishment of reasonable and uniform supplemental road and bridge use regulations by the parish. Ordinance 4968 relocates polling place for Precinct 126 from our district, number 6 on Linwood Avenue to Faith Baptist Church on Linwood Avenue. Ordinance 4969 amends your, and reenacts Ordinance 4851 authorizing acceptance of an irrevocable donation of certain property in the parish OSL properties.
Very good, thank you. Next, we have our work session minutes, but I don't see them.
Only from February 1st. They may have been distributed Monday.
Okay, from February 1st. I'm trying to motion to accept those.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Pearson, seconded by Commissioner Thibodeau. Any discussion on that motion? Please vote. That passes. Next resolutions, please.
Resolution 15 asks the legislature to terminate the Caddo Parish Jail Site Fund.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Lynch. Seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. Okay, is there any discussion on the motion? Punch back.
I'd like to make a substitute motion.
All right, your motion is, please.
I'd like to move this for 2 weeks to our next commission meeting, if that's possible, if I could get a second.
Second. Been moved by Commissioner Dominic and seconded by Commissioner Cox that we delay action on this resolution until our next meeting. Is there any discussion on the substitute motion?
I'd like.
Okay.
I spoke to the sheriff last night. He was unable to be here today. I think he was in a meeting with the governor. I think we need to give the sheriff at least an opportunity to come. I think he wanted to address this issue, and I still have some concerns about this. It's my understanding that this is, Erica, how much, is Erica Haley, is it $1.2 million in this fund? We're currently looking at and doing a study for a jail site fund, possible expansion, and these funds, if this is voted on and passed, will go back into our general fund, at least if the legislature actually passed this. I don't know if that's the thing to do. If we're sitting here talking about possibly expanding the jail, maybe we need to dedicate that to the jail. I would like to at least talk to the sheriff, and if he'd like to come here, which I think he would like to be here, to come and address this issue. But you're talking about $1.2 million that's going to be go back to our general fund, that we have not been able to put it in our general fund at this time because we've been borrowing against it. And it's my understanding that as it currently stands, we're not really using it or having to borrow against it and then pay it back when we get the ad valorem property taxes. And I just think maybe we need to strongly look at this and consider this being designated toward exactly expanding the jail or going directly to the jail. And that's my feelings on it.
Thank you. Commissioner Lynch? I'm sorry, Mr. Jenkins was first.
No, he answered my question. I just wanted to know why he was asking for it.
Okay, fine. Commissioner Lynch.
One question. Let me make sure I understand what the purpose of this fund was. Can you all go over that quickly? That's my first question. Charles, Haley.
Well,
Donna.
I want Haley, correct me if I'm wrong. These funds, Commissioner, this fund's been in existence since 1938. They're the proceeds of the sale of a jail in 1938 by the old police jury. Back in those days, the police jury had to have legislative authorization in order to sell property. Legislative authorization to sell that property had a provision in it that the proceeds of the sale of that jail would go into a jail site fund, and the language of the law says that they can be used only. They can be used only by the parish only as a source of funds to borrow annually until the property taxes were collected at the end of the year, after which the fund would be repaid. And if you recall, those of y'all that have been on the commission for a number of years, until several years ago, y'all addressed two different ordinances, I think, a year. One in the fall to borrow the money from the jail site fund to basically give you cash flow until the ad valorem taxes come in, and then another ordinance at I think by the 1st of March, the law says in order to pay the funds back. You don't do that any longer because the fiscal condition of the parish is such that it's not necessary to borrow those funds. So as a practical matter, that fund that has this $1.2 million in it, there's no purpose being served by that $1.2 million of taxpayer funds.
Okay, so let me understand. It's from the sale of the old jail, so I guess that's why it has the title jail
site fund.
Jail site fund, but it's really just the sale of property.
Correct.
It just happened to be a jail.
Yes, ma'am.
And then the original intent and purpose was not for a jail, but for us to be able to borrow money and help with cash flow.
Correct.
Okay. I guess I'm feeling a little blindsided by the concerns of the sheriff. Were you all aware that he had some concerns about where this money was going?
Yes, ma'am. We met with the sheriff a couple of times, and to answer the question, he raised the question when he heard about us going forward with this initiative, and we tried to explain to him the only reason this money could be used is, as Charles stated, for a cash flow stopgap measure. But he seemed to be under the impression that, well, it says jail attached to it, so you can use it for the expansion or construction of a jail. And we said emphatically that's not how we read the language. So we have a difference of opinion on what the funds could be used for.
Well, the funds could be used for what's legally on the books right now.
I don't know that I would agree that we have a difference of opinion.
No, I don't think it's a difference of opinion.
What the funds can be used for.
Right.
It's just that, the sheriff has concerns. Well, you know what the sheriff has asked y'all to do, and I think it's fair to say he views this as a possible source of partial funding of an expansion of the jail. I mean, it's $1,200,000 that right now is serving no useful purpose. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Epperson?
My concern is this is a simple resolution. We'll do this. It appears as though an expenditure of that amount shouldn't be an ordinance, public hearing.
Sir, the reason this resolution is on y'all's agenda is because, let me first of all remind y'all that last year we attempted to introduce a similar bill and it got caught up in technicalities in Baton Rouge and never got filed. So this was part of the Commission's approved legislative program last year. This year we have secured a legislator that's willing to handle the bill. But she said if she's going to handle the bill for the Commission, she wants a tangible expression from the Commission that the Commission wants her to do it. So hence the resolution.
Commissioner McCullough?
Yes. What actually would prevent us, maybe in the near future, if we decided that we wanted to be of some assistance to the sheriff? Because I'm looking here, it says for any authorized purpose. Say we would go ahead and approve this resolution. What would prevent us in the near future from actually using these funds if we so desired to assist the sheriff?
Well, the legislative bill is not yet drafted, Commissioner McCall. That'll be done by the legislative staff, but the discussions that I've had with the legislator that was sponsored this is just to put the money in the general fund, and that was my suggestion. The Commission could have different ideas about that. The reason I suggested the general fund is because that would give the Commission the maximum flexibility to decide how it wants to use the money.
Which means that you could possibly use it for that purpose if we decided to do that, right?
Yes, you could use it for any purpose that the Commission wants to use it for.
Thank you.
Anyone else first round on Mr. Dominic's motion?
Go ahead.
Mr. Pearson?
Yeah. Have we decided to entertain jail expansion, or are we still in the mode of the study? The study is still being done.
Yes, sir. We're in the second week of the study.
Okay, so we hadn't really made any any decision in regards to expansion of jail, I think that's perhaps coming from another direction. So I don't know if, whatever we would do with the money, it sounds like, I think we may have a difference of opinion. I think you might have said that we didn't, but that what that money can be used for is and if we so desire to use whatever dollars we have, oil and gas money, if we want to do it for jail, I think we could do that, whatever dollars we have, if we decided to do so. But we have not decided to my memory, to do anything in regards to jail other than to provide dollars for a study. So I would want to see us go forward with this resolution, and after it runs its course, then whatever the decision is on the study would really drive what we do next. And whatever dollars we have, we could dedicate them to whatever decision we would make. Thank you, Mr. President.
Anyone else first round? I have a brief comment. I think some of the confusion here, or what's confusing to me, is why this would be an issue to any other entity or governmental body within the parish of Caddo. Just because the fund and the proceeds referred to as the jail site fund doesn't mean it has anything to do with the sheriff's department or the coroner's office or the clerk of court or anybody else. It's people of Caddo Parish's money. Now, basically, in essence, what we're trying to do is get it freed up so we can use it for better use rather than having it tied up by some archaic law that is no longer on the books. So, being that said, I would hope that we would go ahead and get this money freed up. If, as Mr. Pearson said, the day comes, the time comes when we feel the need, which is our responsibility as a commission to provide adequate jail space, that we need to expand the jail, we can take that issue up at that time and have certainly many other resources which we can draw from. But short of that, nobody has a claim to this money. This money belongs to the parish of Caddo. Mr. Dominic.
Just a couple brief comments. I did speak to the sheriff, and I just think that it might not be a bad idea. I'm confident that it's a good idea to pass it, to let him come address us if he so desires. This is a little bit of a confusion issue, but I do understand it, and I hope everybody does it. It's going to go to the legislators, and I understand that this money, once it's freed up, we'll be able to use it however we want to. But, we're sitting here doing a study, and this may not be a bad idea to dedicate it or at least talk to the sheriff and get with him and determine exactly what his input is and go from there. I just would at least like to pass it for 2 weeks until we give him time to, and I'd like to talk to him a little bit further. I did speak to him on the phone briefly about this, and it was my understanding, I told him I thought it was by ordinance, which would mean that we weren't going to hear it until 2 weeks. I didn't realize it was going to be by resolution today. But, we are doing the study, and I think we need to look at it seriously that, this money could be used as startup money to start building a jail. So I'm going to move, and I hope everybody supports my motion to postpone it at least for 2 weeks.
Anyone else? I'm not going to support your motion. This is kind of like if the Caddo School Board had a vacant school that was in Caddo Parish and they're fixing to sell it and had some money tied up, and we go to them and this is what we want you to do with this money. We don't have a dog in that hunt. We have the resources, if we feel the need in the future, for a jail to fund it in many, many ways. And to earmark this money this way is not prudent. Like I said, I don't see anybody else having a dog in this hunt. And it will, as you probably know, Mr. Dominic, it's probably going to receive some opposition in the legislature. And if it fails, that's fine. We've had this money, had this situation for years. We don't necessarily need this money. I'm going to vote to let the legislatures in Baton Rouge act in good faith, hope they do this, and if they don't, the money can sit there forever. It doesn't really matter to me. All right, no more discussion. We'll vote on the matter. We're voting on Mr. Dominic's motion first to postpone for 2 weeks. That fails. Now we're going to vote on the motion. resolution itself? That passes. Next resolution, Mr. Clerk.
Yes, sir. Resolution 16, it opposes the Louisiana Department of Veteran Affairs removal of positions of physician assistant and pharmacist from the budget of the Northwest Louisiana War Veterans Home.
Moved by Mr. Epperson.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Cox. Any discussion? Commissioner Epperson?
Basically, I didn't want to move this right now. I'd like to make a comment prior to the motion, if I may.
You've already made a motion.
Oh,
Well, you got the motions on the floor. Would you like to just comment on it?
Well, I wanted to vote to allow the Secretary of the Louisiana Department of Veterans Affairs to come and address this body. He contacted me today. I think he contacted Commissioner Escaday. I spoke with Ms. Duhan also. She and her group came up earlier this week and they gave an excellent presentation. So in light of a democratic process, they had an opportunity to come and face us personally. And I would afford the Louisiana Department of Veterans Affairs Secretary to come up and face us personally also.
So as the maker of the motion, would you like to delay your motion?
Right, I'd like to delay that
Can I
until
get a second on that withdrawal?
until the first work session in March.
First work session in March.
Now, if I may comment, I would like to make it clear, Mr. Adams can make him aware of this situation, or he may be watching via the web. I take this issue personally. We all collectively lobbied in behalf of the Veterans Cemetery as well as the Northwest Louisiana Veterans Home at the same time. When we went to Baton Rouge, Washington, D.C., and everywhere else we did. So I would hope that the Secretary will come up with something prudent, something that's going to be definitive. However, this does not preclude us, and it will not preclude me from making my wishes known individually, which you all can do so also, that I am adamantly against what's transpiring here at this point in time. So with that, I'd ask for the favorable vote to delay until the first work session in March.
Okay, we have the motion to delay. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion to delay till our next work session? Do you wish to speak on it, Mr. Jenkins?
Yes, I do, Mr. President. Just an added comment to what Commissioner Epperson is saying. Left at each of your desks today was a postcard. If you as an individual commissioner or as an individual citizen wish to send to the governor this postcard, you can. You can sign up on it and just simply put a stamp on it and send down, and you can talk about, it basically asks him not to cut any funding and to give full consideration to all of the war veterans homes. So I just wanted to add that's an additional means to make you, to express how you feel about the situation.
Thank you, Commissioner Jenkins. Commissioner Cox.
There's two sides to every story, and I firmly stand behind Mr. Epperson on this, simply because my grandfather served, my great-aunt served, and the people came before us this past work session, and their concerns were clear. Now, whether y'all have a different view of things, that's neither here nor there, but I want something either done in stone. I still want to talk to the governor while we're down at Lake Charles next week, simply because this can't happen to our veterans. Not going to happen to our veterans. So, if he comes to us, I would suggest that he have his paperwork in order, because we will be counting on it. So, thank you, sir.
Any other discussion? I would have to suspect that as our new president of the Louisiana Police Jury Association, that Commissioner Pearson may be able to make sure that that's a point of concern and on the agenda at their convention next week, and hopefully they'll hear the message loud and clear. All right, if there's no one else, we'll vote on the motion to move this to our next work session agenda. That passes. Being no other business, we're adjourned. Do we have one more on where?
President?
I take that back. I'm out of here. I'm sorry. Oh, that wasn't, Ken, that was really nothing intentional on that, even though we disagree on this. I wasn't trying to pull a fast one on you. I want you to know that. The new business, please.
Authorize termination of sale of potential sale of property located on Shirley Francis Industrial Park, and provide that no more land be offered for sale or commercial development in this park, and that Shirley Francis Industrial Park be declassified from industrial park, and that all vacant acreage in that park be dedicated for the purpose of development of public park and recreation.
Moved by Commissioner Epperson.
No, sir.
What is this?
Recognize me. I'd like to make a substitute motion.
Okay.
I move that the sale of any property or any potential sales or negotiations for such property in the area known as Caddo Industrial Park be immediately terminated.
Second.
Okay. My reason for making this substitute motion, basically some of my verbiage and my descriptions are inaccurate based upon the information that I had at that particular time. I'm still looking for more research and data relative to this issue. Also, my constituents want to talk with me more in depth. So at this time, I would hope that you all vote in favor of honoring this particular motion here at this point in time.
That's instead of the other motion.
Right, that's
Would you restate that motion?
I move that the sale of any property or any potential sales or negotiations for such property in the area known as Caddo Industrial Park be immediately terminated.
Indefinitely?
Pardon?
Indefinitely?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Pearson?
Yes, I had two. I wanted to speak on this, but I wanted to ask a question too. We mean that the original motion had to do with the development of a recreation area.
Right.
So we're not talking about developing it as a recreation area. We're just simply talking about not doing anything with it
Commercially.
Right. Or indefinitely.
Or industrial, right. Until I gather more information as to the proper way to go through it.
Okay, so you're not shutting the door on industrial development. You're just saying
any sales on industrial development at this time.
Okay, at this time. I mean,
right.
You aren't shutting the door on it. You're just saying until. That's what I'm trying to get.
Yes, I'm shutting the door on commercial or industrial sales or development at this time.
Okay. You keep saying at this time. That's what I'm trying to. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so we don't want to sell it. You understand what I'm asking? I'm not trying to.
Put a sign down.
Ken's been hanging around our turn.
Okay. Okay, I understand that you don't want to entertain any sales of that property for industrial or commercial use at all.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
You done?
Yeah.
Mr. Lynn?
I've got to ask that question one more time. Everything that's under contract right now, or any contract ever to happen in the future, it would not be available.
Anything that would happen in the future from this day on, everything that's there now, what is Wheeling, they are there, but no other negotiations or anything that we're currently under negotiation.
With anybody about anything ever again for that park?
No, yes, that's correct.
Okay, that's the answer I was looking for, at least one way or the other. I understand your reason for doing that, and it's a recognizable and admirable reason. I would like to see all of the parks, all the industrial parks, and possible land that is not industry, regulated or marked or earmarked or tagged or zoned, to look at all of our parks and see just exactly what we plan to do with all of them. Because in 1984, that was obviously a good idea, and in 2010, it's not a good idea. And so if in 84 it was a good idea, and now it's not a good idea, then there's probably some other land out there somewhere that Caddo Parish owns that might need to change as well. There might be land that we had originally decided to have an industrial park that now should be a recreational park, and there might be land that's a recreational park that we might want to have industrial, or who knows? And I would hope that the administration would take a look at that so that we're not in a situation, again, where we have land that has a expected or anticipated use by the end user, and we pay the economic development guys to market this land, and then at the last minute we say, oh, yes, never mind, we said it was industrial, but now it's not. However, that was my whole holdup, and so I understand. Anyway, thank you. I'm finished, Mr. President.
Thank you, Commissioner Lynn. Commissioner Thibodeau.
I don't think that the motion that's on the table right now would allow us to do with the motion. I think all that motion would do would just be send a message to the administration. But as far as the law is concerned, if I understand it, in our rules here, it says that an ordinance is required to adopt or modify the zoning plan, maps, and regulations. So that would be an adaptation of zoning. And then right below that it says to amend or repeal any ordinance previously adopted. So either of those, as I understand it, would have to happen before this would be a legal and binding motion. And if I understand, again, I had talked to Mr. Grubbs about how the current ordinance reads, and roughly it talks about, it's available for industrial park, and it's also available for other uses as the commission might want. Is that an accurate description of what you told me?
Yes, sir, and the property zone I-1 right now, so it would be available without any zoning for anything that's a use by right in I-1. One thing I learned today that might be of interest to the Commission is that this property is actually located within the city limits of Shreveport. So if it was to be rezoned, it would be rezoned to the City Council. If it was developed for a recreational park is a use by right in residential. It's a use requiring Planning Commission approval in B1 and maybe the other B districts. I'm not sure. But it would have to be rezoned to be developed as a.
So regardless of whether it's rezoned or the original ordinance is amended, it still requires a new ordinance.
Yes, I mean, the legal effect of Mr. Epperson's motion is just what you said at the beginning of the remarks, Commissioner Thibodeau. I think it would be interpreted by the administrator as a directive from the Commission to these further efforts to develop the industrial park for industrial purposes absent other directions from the Commission in the future.
So if this motion were to fail, then Mr. Epperson could still request, say from the parks or from the administration, what type of park could we have out there, what would it cost, all that kind of information, because that's still allowed in the current ordinance. But if we do that, if we were to change it to just a recreational park, then we are in fact amending the original ordinance because it can no longer be an industrial park. So that would require new ordinances, I guess is what I'm saying.
And there are restrictive covenants on this piece of property that basically describe the use of the property as for industrial purposes, but there's a clause in the covenants that says that the parish can also put non-industrial uses on the property. So the legal status right now is you're free to do so, subject to the zoning ordinances of the city. Bottom line is the only thing the Commission would have to do if it decided to develop the property as a recreational park would be to apply to have the property rezoned. And it would be down zoning, so the zoning would be non-conforming.
And you'd have to have a new ordinance. So
but
you're
you'd
amending
have to rezone the property, and you'd have to find the money and appropriate the money by ordinance. I think that's all you'd have to do.
Because it says if you amend the ordinance, and that's what you'd be doing, you would be amending the ordinance, the original ordinance, because it would no longer be allowed to be an industrial park.
Well, without getting down in the weeds too much, I don't know that you'd have to amend the ordinance that you're talking about is an ordinance that was adopted in 2003 that named the property we're talking about, the Caddo Industrial Park, and authorized the execution of these restrictive covenants that had previously been negotiated with the Wheeling people that bought the one strip out of it. So, because the covenants have a provision that says that the parish is authorized to approve uses other than industrial uses which are not otherwise prohibited by covenants, I think that the commission, if it desired to do so, could develop the property as a recreational park or put any other non-industrial use on the property, so long as what you did didn't diminish the value or adversely affect the other property owner out there. I don't mean to be talking too much, but the bottom line is if the commission was to decide to have an alternate use such as a recreational park, I think what it would take is rezoning and appropriation of the money.
Okay, well,
I'm sorry, if I can just, you would have a peculiar situation because you would have a recreational park in the middle of an area that you had designated in this ordinance as an industrial park. But to me, that's just terminology. I mean, you might want to go ahead and amend this ordinance for
You're over 5 minutes, Mr. Grove. And none of us really understand anymore.
Okay.
I did at the beginning. I think his question is simple. Is there an ordinance required to redesignate the use of this property? I think that's what Commissioner Thibodeau's asking. Yes or no? Do we have to formally act to declassify this, so to speak, as an industrial park? Is that step necessary?
My position would be no.
Okay.
But it would require some explanation.
I move to extend this time.
Only the chair can extend its time. It's my privilege. You have something else you could add to clarify that? I know it's complicated, but you need to make it simpler for us.
Simply that the commission has previously named this area the Caddo Industrial Park. So it seems to me that's a legislative expression of the commission in 2003 that you were going to use this park for industrial purposes.
Which was done by ordinance?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But the same ordinance, this is where it gets squirrely, the same ordinance that I'm talking about authorize these restrictive covenants, and the restrictive covenants have this clause in them that says the developer is authorized to approve uses other than industrial uses which are not otherwise prohibited in the covenants. So, if
for housekeeping purposes, it'd be best that we redid an ordinance, but it's not necessary.
That's right. I mean, I think for housekeeping purposes, it'd be appropriate to amend the ordinance, but I don't think you'd have to do it legally.
Okay, well, I understand what we're trying to accomplish here, but I'd like to leave our options open until we have an ordinance that states such, and so I'm not going to support this motion at this time. I'd rather leave our options open. And if this should pass, I'd like to say to the administration simply on my behalf, no one else, if this were to pass and you get some inquiry from an industry, a business, whatever it might be, I would like to know about it simply because that inquiry should come to the full commission unless the full commission has actually declassified, or whatever you want to call it, this park. So I'm just saying I, as one commissioner, would like to know of any inquiries that come to us.
Thank you, Mr. Thibodeau. Commissioner Dominic.
Just a couple of quick questions for Mr. Grubb. On Mr. Epperson's new motion, he called it the Caddo Industrial Park, but in his original written motion is Shirley Francis Industrial Park. What is the exact legal name?
The exact legal name is the Caddo Industrial Park pursuant to ordinance number 4155.
Okay, that's all.
But it's the same property that Mr. Epperson referred.
I don't want you to get up there and get my Ward 2 park because it's called Caddo Parish Ward 2.
That's in high demand.
Just got a new business there, buddy. And y'all don't want to live, we'll be happy to bring this bunch here. That's all I had.
All right, Commissioner Cox.
we're also talking about jobs here. I mean, we just had a trucking company want a tract of land. We denied that. Now we may have the existing company that's there, maybe looking at some land. So if we look at something and say, okay, I've got some property here, I've got a business here, are we going to tell them, well, they can't expand now? And they've been a tenant in this industrial park? I mean, with your motion, that's what we're basically telling businesses now. You better check with us first, which they should anyway, but we're trying to get businesses in here. I mean, that's our main goal, is to get our tax base up and, you know, do more jobs and get jobs in the Caddo. But I just don't know if this is a fair deal to business right now. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cox. Commissioner McCullough.
Yes, I was a little bit excited to second your motion, Commissioner Epperson, due to the fact I've shared with most of you that I've already talked with Chancellor Belton at Southern University in regards to the North Shreveport Industrial Park that's standing at this time. They have made some inquiries about utilizing this park. To what degree, I don't know, because Woody, you are supposed to, I don't know where you are with it, set up a meeting with our president, Mr. Escadé, and the administration at Southern, but I was excited to second your motion because I thought this would open the door to allow Southern University to utilize, other than industrial use, utilize this park. So in seconding your motion, that leaves the door open for Southern to maybe have some future utilizations of this park, if not for industrial uses. Is that how I'm understanding that? When you said Caddo Parish, I was thinking, wow, that takes care of all of the standing parks in Caddo Parish. But you're saying that this is just the standard name for Shirley Francis.
Right, that's that particular part. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So it wouldn't include North Shreveport Industrial Park?
No, ma'am.
Oh, I understand.
And if I may add, for point of information, you know, what you wanted to hear the other day, what we did was we are going with the wishes of the persons within that community. Those are the wishes of the constituents.
That's correct. I've been reading the newspaper.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner McCullough. On first go-round, I have Commissioner Jenkins next.
Thank you, Mr. President. I guess I want to be somewhat clear on what I'm voting on. Kind of go back to what was originally said. The motion is to not have any negotiations about a sale. The motion is not to change the designation of the property, right?
No.
So all you really want is that there be no negotiations or discussions about a commercial use or commercial sale of the property. And then the other part, I mean, is there a time frame that you say you want this to be in place? I'm hearing you say no time frame, that's indefinite.
Well, we're trying to gather more information. It appears as though in order to achieve another end, I need more information, and the park was designated through an act of an ordinance, and therefore, in order to be in the change, it would possibly have to be the same way. And also would probably have to be, could have to be a rezoning from the MPC. So that's why I was waiting on more information. But at this point in time, just want to hold up any negotiations or any discussions of sales there until we get some more information.
So at some point, once this information becomes available, this is going to come back up as to whether or not this moratorium, so to speak, on
right, a resolution of resolving this particular issue in conjunction with the constituents, with meeting with the constituents, letting them make sure they understand what's going on.
And Mr. Grove, would this commission be within its legal rights to be able to place a moratorium on negotiations of commercial use of that property, you know, for some period of time?
Yes, sir, because the property is owned by the parish. Parish property.
I just want to make sure there's a distinction between us attempting to change an ordinance and, as you were saying, Commissioner Thibodeau, maybe giving some directive to the administration. Hold up a minute until some information could come in that could be looked at a little bit further. And I just want to make sure, if I vote on it, I want to make sure I understand what I'm voting on. And that's really what this is all about. It's about some moratorium on that for some period of time, but it's going to come back and then some final decision is going to be made about use of that property. It's what I'm gathering, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, well, that wasn't my understanding.
But that's what
I was trying to get to.
Number one, the name change wasn't correct. See, that's why I took that out.
Okay.
So we just put in a moratorium until we can find out exactly what we need to do to go at the means of the wishes of the constituents.
Okay, well,
I just want to hold up on, didn't want to give nobody anticipation, which this body has the right to do by a majority vote.
Oh, I agree. I just thought the motion, and I'm sorry, Mr. President, I thought the motion said we don't ever want to talk about industrial or commercial use. That's what the motion sounded like.
This is at this point in time until we come up with the means to
So you want to put temporary moratorium on.
Right.
And I could, I could support something like that, but I wouldn't want to close the door on opportunities that may come from a different perspective. You understand what I'm saying? In other words, I want to support you on it, but I want to be certain that we're talking about something temporary, and that all of us are going to get a chance to talk about this again, long range, after you had an opportunity to get some information.
That's correct.
And with that being in your district, I'm going to support you on that, on a motion like that, because if it was me, I would want some time to get information about something that's coming in and affecting the constituents of my district, and it's always been my position since I've been down into to the extent that I can, unless it's a much bigger picture, try to give some deference to the commissioner whose district is being affected. I don't think what you're asking right now is unreasonable. It's simply a moratorium, and I think that it helps the administration to know where this body stands so that they don't get blindsided with some situation. So I can support you on a temporary moratorium on commercial negotiations on the property. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins. Commissioner Smith?
Mr. Epperson, could we say, instead of temporary, could you give us some kind of issue of time period? I mean, temporary could be 5 years or 2 years or whatever. And let me preface another statement. Having sat on the MPC board for 10 years, I've never known of industrial zoning being downzoned, I don't think. Most of the things we had to fight was to get industrial zoning. So industrial zoning is a valuable commodity wherever it is. I understand your point and I appreciate that. But I think we need to have some kind of time frame, and it can be 6 months, it can be a year, but forever, indefinite. Is that unfair?
I understand your point also. However, the wishes of the constituents must be addressed too. I've seen issues where, with traffic zoning, but we got to respect the wishes of the constituents. However, with that stated, I think we'd have everything in place possibly by the second meeting in April. I should have everything available.
Yeah.
Is that part of your motion then at the end?
No, we can't, unless somebody wants to formally amend it. We've got the motion on the floor. We can't keep doing this, guys. Commissioner Baker?
Well, that was my question, is if he could add that, or somebody could amend it, his motion, to add that it's a temporary moratorium.
You got the floor, you can do it.
Okay, I can do it, okay. Well, that's what I like to do, offer amended motion to add the word temporary moratorium until the second meeting in April of 2010.
Second.
Moved and seconded to amend Commissioner Epperson's motion to allow that the moratorium be until the second meeting in April. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Any discussion on that motion? Okay. Fixing to vote on the motion. Before that, I would like to say something. I understand that we all have constituents, and sometimes we have to decide whether they're right. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're wrong. And I know the churches and the daycares are the ones that holler the loudest, and they get the most attention, because anytime there's old people and women and children involved, everybody's heart just bleeds, and me or Mr. Epperson, somebody our age, they could care less. You know, we're there in the middle. But somebody might decide they want to express interest in this park next week and offer us $30,000 an acre and bring 500 jobs, and how do you know what's out there?
Right.
I realize that the parish is in good financial shape, but our people aren't. Some of our constituents aren't. They've had to cut back. They've had job losses and their hours cut. So one does not work with the other. I think we've already sent a message that Caddo is closed for business Monday, the way this went down. We've alienated, run off the trucking company, run off those jobs. Not only will those people take their business elsewhere, I believe they're going to badmouth us, and I don't blame them. Just what does it say? Now, I'm not going to support killing anything or putting a moratorium on anything. What I'm open to in the future, once we get past this, and we will get past this, is that we look, as Mr. Lynn suggested, at all of our industrial properties and our parks, and maybe we need to do some realignment. Maybe some could have better use now. Maybe we have other property or available property we could purchase that would be more in line with an industrial park versus 1984. But I'm willing to do that, but I'm not going to stop and kill everything else and continue to send the message that, just don't come because some people show up. And I know it's not private, but I hope all the churches and the petitions we read Monday, I hope they can take care of the unemployed and the hungry out there in that area as well. I hope they're prepared to do that, because there's some jobs out here. Just don't understand when somebody's pockets are feeling good and they don't care anything about their neighbors, and that's what it seems to be. With that, Mr. Baker's substitute motion on the floor, which places a moratorium on activity in that park until our second meeting in April. Everybody clear on the motion? Please vote. That passes. Does it?
No. Yes.
Six. It passes. All right. Fails. Who was the second? No. Passes. I don't even have Matthew did not vote. Vote, Matthew.
Well, it's too late now. You guys got to say what you're going to do.
What's your vote?
Can't vote.
Yes, he can vote.
He's looking at the...
He can vote.
You can put yes.
Well, it passes, it expires anyway.
Okay, it passes 7-5 with Mr. Lynn's affirmative vote. Okay, before we adjourn, I have one case of housekeeping business. Mr. Spear says, I need to advise, as far as our property standards meeting Monday, the case that we took on the house off of Line Avenue, that the requirements that we put on this individual and the timeline, the meter starts running today, 2/18/2010. All right, we're adjourned.